Fade in. Interior, kitchen, morning. Alfreida Biggs, 66, slim and fit, stands at the counter packing cupcakes into plastic containers. Her phone is on hands-free beside her, ringing. A message system kicks in.
You've reached Carl at Financial Alliance.
She presses a button, waits for the beep.
Carl, it's me. I've let the Blue Bistro know I won't be in this morning. I'm taking a sick day.
She presses lids on the containers as she explains herself.
I took care of their payroll and utilities last night. Everything else can wait, including emails and phone calls. I'm on a sick day, Carl. I'll talk to you tomorrow, okay?
She ends the call, glances out the kitchen window. Birds of all kinds perch at the 4 bird feeders in the yard beyond the glass. Alfreida smiles and snaps a couple of pictures. Her phone rings. She glances at the screen and sighs heavily.
Seriously, Carl?
She rejects the call, puts it on mute, and slips the phone into her pocket. Swinging a bag of birthday hats and plates onto her shoulder, she picks up the containers of cupcakes and heads out of the kitchen. Exterior, Alfreida's driveway, morning. Alfreida juggles everything to her car. Next door, Neil Polchinski, 68, paunchy and jovial, loads suitcases into the trunk of his car.
Have a wonderful trip, Neil.
We always do. Let me help you with that.
He trots over and takes the containers.
You want these in the back?
She nods, and they chat while he sets the containers on the floor behind the passenger seat, and she tosses her purse and the bag of party supplies into the front.
What sinful delights have you made this time?
Ed's favorite, lemon cupcakes.
Those are legend. How's he doing anyway?
The same. But today is his 70th, and birthdays need to be celebrated, right?
I always feel a little guilty for not visiting him, but I want to remember him the way he was.
Don't feel bad. If I had that opinion, I'd probably take it too.
Leaning into the back, she removes the lid from one of the containers, lifts out 2 cupcakes, and holds them out to Neil.
Put these in the freezer if you don't have time to eat them now. When's your flight, anyway?
He takes the cupcakes.
Noon, but these will never make it to the freezer.
He takes a bite of one and moans with pleasure.
You need to open a shop, and you need to come on a trip again. Everyone agrees it's been too long.
I hear you, but I just can't pick up and leave. Not with Ed and the house and work.
He grunts and takes another bite.
Your boss still a tyrant?
Is grass still green?
So why not retire?
She snaps the lid back on the container and closes the passenger door.
I think about it sometimes. But working keeps a bit of normal in my life, if that makes sense.
I get it. Just seems a shame to keep missing all the fun. It's not what Ed would want.
I know. And I'll catch up one day.
He licks frosting off his thumb and eyes the second cupcake.
I should go. Phyllis will never forgive me if this one disappears too.
He starts back towards his house.
Wish Ed a happy birthday for us.
She walks around her car to the driver's side.
Only if you have a fancy drink for me on that ship.
With 2 umbrellas.
Neil pauses on his doorstep.
Do me a favor. Think about joining us next time. We're looking at the transatlantic crossing.
How very Titanic.
And that is why we miss you.
He enters his house. She gets into her car, glances over at the party hats, then starts the engine and backs out of the driveway. Interior, dining room, Buckhorn long-term care. Morning, continuous. The room is empty except for Alfreida and her husband, Ed Biggs, 70. Tall and gaunt, he slumps in a wheelchair at the window, eyes closed, head lolling to one side, unaware of the birds splashing in the bird bath on the other side of the glass. At the table beside him, Alfreida keeps up a steady stream of chatter while she opens a container of cupcakes and sets out stacks of birthday plates, matching napkins, and party hats.
You'll be pleased to know we had a few newcomers in the yard this morning. Maybe Gospeks. I'll show you the pictures later.
She puts a hat on her head, watches the bird fly away, then pats Ed's face.
Wake up, honey. It's too early for a nap.
His eyes open. She wheels him to the table, puts a hat on his head, then kisses his cheek.
Happy birthday, Eddie.
He lifts a hand, feels the hat, and pulls at it. Alfreida lowers the hand to his lap and sets a cupcake in front of him.
The kids made a video for you. Wait till you see it.
She takes out her phone, looks at the screen, and shakes her head.
Have I ever admitted that you were right about Carl? He is definitely the world's most annoying man.
Ed's eyes close again while she punches in a number.
You've reached Carl.
She presses a button, waits for the beep.
Fine, Carl. You win. I'll drop by the bistro later. Hope they don't mind catching whatever I have.
She coughs for effect, hits end, and flicks the screen.
Okay, honey, back to your birthday. Look at this. The whole gang got together for you.
She holds the phone in front of Ed, nudges him awake. On screen, 4 adults, late 30s, and 3 children, 2 years to 7, wave and cheer.
Happy
birthday,
Grandpa!
Alfreida smiles while the group whoops and cheers.
Can you believe how big the kids are getting? Even little Sarah is talking up a storm now. She's such a hoot.
Ed pulls at the hat again. Alfreida sighs, slips the phone into her pocket, and takes the hat off for him.
Okay, no hat. The cupcake's the best part anyway, with lots of filling, just the way you like it.
She holds the cupcake to his lips. His mouth clamps shut. She puts the cake down.
What's wrong, sweetheart?
Nurse Jenna, 39, sturdy and brisk, sets a cup with a straw on the table, grabs a hat, and plunks down on the other side of Ed.
Let's get his party started. Happy birthday on 3. Ready? 1, 2.
Ed stares at his hands while Alfreida and Jenna sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Eddie. Happy birthday to you.
No reaction from Ed. Alfreida smiles harder at Jenna and gets to her feet.
If you ever get tired of nursing, we can hire ourselves for parties.
That's the dream. Come on, Ed. This looks delicious.
Jenna holds the cake to his lips. He turns away. Alfreida restacks the plates, the napkins, the hats.
Lemon has always been his favorite, but he won't even take a bite. It was the same at dinner last night.
That's why I came to find you.
Alfreida stops fussing and looks over at her.
The doctor wants to see you in his office. It shouldn't take long. We'll wait for you here. Let the good times roll. Right, Ed?
Thanks, Jenna. You're the best.
Anytime. And you might want to lose the hat.
Alfreida plucks the hat from her head and her purse from the chair back. She kisses Ed's cheek, then walks to the door. She pauses and looks back, watching Jenna try to get Ed to take a sip of juice. Straightening her back, she walks out into the hall. Interior, Dr. Bright's office. Morning, continuous. Dr. Bright, 60, squat and pompous, holds court behind a desk. Alfreida sits across from him.
Mrs. Biggs, I'm glad we were able to connect so quickly. I'm concerned about your husband. He hasn't eaten or taken fluids in over 24 hours.
I knew something was up. I brought his favorite cupcakes this morning, but he won't even try one.
Dr. Bright leans forward, hands folded on the desk.
This can happen with Alzheimer's patients. They have no capacity to decide to refuse food, but if they aren't experiencing hunger or thirst, they simply lose interest. They don't seem to be in any distress, but without proper nutrition and hydration, things escalate quickly.
Alfreida straightens in the chair.
I won't have him force-fed.
We would never, but we can overcome the lack of appetite with an antihistamine called cyproheptadine.
Ed doesn't have allergies.
Most of the residents taking it don't. We prescribe it for the side effects. People who have lost interest in food suddenly experience hunger and thirst again. Many even gain weight. Ed is a perfect candidate. Just sign the consent form and we'll get him started right away.
He slides a page and a pen toward her. Alfreida picks up the pen and draws the page closer.
How long will he be on this?
The rest of his life, most likely. Given his current physical health, getting him back on track with food and fluid should keep him going for a good long while.
A good long while.
She hesitates a moment, then sets the pen down.
I'm sorry. I can't sign this.
Mrs. Biggs, I promise you this treatment is not dangerous.
But it is invasive. You said yourself this lack of appetite happens naturally. No pain, no fight, just nature giving him a way out, a light at the end of the tunnel.
Without fluids, death will come quickly, yes. But it doesn't have to.
I understand, and my answer is still no.
He sits back, putting space between them.
Perhaps you should talk to your children first.
Alfreida gets to her feet.
My children know where Ed and I stand. You can be cavalier with his life because you didn't know him, but my husband was a brilliant man, Dr. Bright. An entrepreneur and a voracious reader, always curious about people and the world around him. But that man is gone. Your drug will keep him alive, yes, but will it make his life better? Give him back the simple joy of watching birds at a feeder?
We both know the answer to that.
Exactly. And I won't do anything that adds years without hope of improvement.
You're certain he would agree?
Let me assure you that if it were me in that chair, he would say exactly the same thing.
Dr. Bright waits a beat, then slides another sheet of paper toward her.
In that case, you'll have to sign a waiver acknowledging that you chose to ignore my medical advice.
Alfreida picks up the pen again.
Before you sign, you should ask yourself one question. Will you be able to live with your decision after his death?
We'll find out.
Alfreida signs the form and picks up her purse, doing her best to cover the tremble in her fingers, the unsteadiness in her legs, as she walks out the door. Interior, dining room, Buckhorn, LTC, morning, continuous. Jenna sits with Ed at the window, pointing to birds at the bath. A few residents are gathered around tables. Staff members circulate, helping them sip liquids through straws and eat cupcakes. Some wear party hats. Alfreida sits down on the other side of Ed, close to tears.
Did you sign the paper?
Alfreida shakes her head. Jenna leans across Ed.
You made the right call.
Alfreida sniffs back tears, her breath shallow and quick.
For Ed, yes. But the awful truth is that I'm sitting here right now, fighting the urge to run back and give my consent.
That's just the fear of what comes next talking.
If only that were true. The problem is I know exactly what's next.
She gets up and paces behind the wheelchair.
Condolences, casseroles, and coming face to face with every decision I've been avoiding since the diagnosis. Sell the house or keep it. Continue working or retire. Travel solo to all the places Ed and I plan to visit, or shoehorn a widow into whatever trips my friends are taking because I can't actually bear the thought of being alone.
Jenna rises and stands in front of her to stop the pacing.
How can that be true? It's been here for years. You've already proven you can go it alone.
All I've proven is that I can tread water and convince myself I'm swimming.
She walks around Jenna, touches her fingertips to Ed's sleeping face, keeping tears at bay with long, exaggerated breaths and a ramrod-straight spine.
My life must sound like hell on earth to a woman your age. But I've been with Ed since I was 16.
She perches on the edge of the chair next to him, takes his limp hand between her own.
We grew up together. It was Ed and Alfie tying the knot, Ed and Alfie starting a family, Ed and Alfie building a business. I've been Ed and Alfie longer than I was just Alfie.
She looks over at Jenna.
And the moment I signed the waiver, the consequences of that decision rose up all around me, threatening to pull me under, to drown me with the weight of being just Alfie again.
Jenna walks around Ed, pulls a chair over, and sits next to Alfreida.
Alfreida, listen to me. You and Ed had something rare and wonderful, but maybe it's time to wake up that 16-year-old girl. Let her step out into a whole new world and find out where she leads you.
If it's a heavy metal concert, she's in trouble.
Somehow I think that girl might be a lot of fun.
Jenna gets to her feet.
Now, get out of here. Take a walk, clean the house, do whatever you need to process what's happened and what's to come. Don't come back till I call you.
I need to be here for Ed.
When the time comes, You will be. I promise. But until then, you sitting here won't do anything for either of you. Ed needs his bed, and you need to find a way to breathe.
Jenna positions herself behind the wheelchair. Alfreida kisses Ed's cheek and holds him tight.
I love you, Eddie.
He wakes for a moment, then nods off again.
Come on, we'll walk you to the door.
Jenna pushes the wheelchair, and Alfreida walks beside Ed to the door. Jenna pauses, and Alfreida gives the sleeping Ed one more kiss.
We'll take good care of him. Don't you worry.
Alfreida nods. Jenna turns the chair to the left. Alfreida watches until they turn a corner, then heads right toward the front door. Exterior, parking lot, Buckhorn LTC, morning, continuous. Alfreida sits in her car, watching a pair of birds flit back and forth among the trees that line the parking lot.
Ed would know exactly what you two are.
She rolls down the window, takes out her phone to snap a picture, grits her teeth at the screen.
I don't believe this.
She punches a key.
You have...
She hits another key, gets out of the car, and slams the door. At the beep, she grips the phone hard and starts walking.
I just want to say, fuck you very much, Carl. Fuck you and the bistro. This is my first sick day in how many years? And did you even once, in between all the goddamn phone calls and emails, ask me how I am? Of course not, because you're a self-centered son of a bitch.
She keeps going through the parking lot, head down, strides long and quick, taking her farther and farther away from her car.
And just to be clear, I'm not doing well at all, which is why I'll be taking tomorrow off too, and the next day, and the one after that.
The screech of tires and the blast of a horn stops her. She jerks her head up, hand to her heart. A car is right in front of her. The old woman at the wheel pokes her head out the window.
Oh my God, I didn't see you. Are you okay?
Alfreida stares at the bumper only feet away from her legs, glances at her phone, then smiles at the woman.
I believe I will be. Thank you.
The woman drives on. Alfreida puts the phone to her ear.
Good news, Carl. I've just realized I won't be in ever again. I'm retiring as of this minute.
She strides back toward her car.
I'm as surprised as you must be. Alfie Biggs cutting and running. Who would have thought?
She opens the door and climbs inside.
Goodbye, Carl. Don't try to reach me. I'll call when I'm ready. Or not.
She tosses the phone into the back seat.
Now that was fun.
The parking lot and the garden fall silent. She hears a bird call. The mate reply. Her shoulders relax. Her breath calms.
I'm going to be okay, Ed. I promise.
A car pulls into the lot. She rests her arms on the steering wheel, drops her head on her hands, and lets the tears come. The end.